Alright, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the vlog. My name is Matthew. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram at msj_4times or at Chile Productions. Today I'm going to show you guys how I adjusted my PanHard bar recently because I ran over some of these Caltrops during Cinco de Mayo. Let's get into it. Alright, let's get into it. First thing I'm going to show you is just how I adjusted my massive PanHard bar and some tips and tricks that were helpful for me. And then at the end we'll go over, or it'll be story time. I'll tell you guys why, you know, running over those things contributed to me having to adjust this. As you guys know, a few months back I actually lowered the car and I lowered the rear end and placed in the PanHard bar before I had to go to work, so I didn't adjust. I just threw it on, and so far it was good up until Cinco de Mayo. Let's get into it. All right, first things first is we're gonna get under the car. All right, and here we have the PanHard bar, the red bar that goes all the way across. All right, so it goes all the way across. Obviously super easy to install. I'm pretty sure I showed you guys on the other video. It's one bolt here and one bolt right there. You remove the old one and then you replace it with this one after you adjust it to the right size, and I did show that in the other video. So we have two bolts on this end, or two bolts. We have one bolt right here that you will loosen up, and then this bolt, you see how it's not even touching, loosen up there. This rubber piece that's actually around this fitting or this ball joint looking thing is actually threaded in with this, so that's stuck. So I tried to remove it, but this whole thing ended up spinning. I was able to remove it on this side. You can kind of see the plastic part right there where it's kind of threaded in, and it looks like the threads from the actual bolt. I ended up getting it out, which is cool. So I got one side. Unfortunately I wasn't able to get that side, but ultimately this bolt right here should be pressed up against there. But when these are pushed out, this literally twists by hand. So that's all you need to do is just twist it, and then you move this bolt in, that bolt in, and then it's stuck in place and you're gonna be good to go. That's literally how easy it is to adjust this thing. Now finding out the correct location of where it goes, that's gonna be a little bit tricky, but you'll get it. So let me go ahead and show you how I ended up finding that out, and you'll be good to go. Like I said, just push these bolts as far as they can, undo these bolts, they come all the way out anyways. Adjust this, make sure your whole rear end is aligned, and then tighten the bolts up. But let me show you guys how I figured that out. So obviously first things first, you're gonna need to jack up the car. Go ahead and use jack stands, so just use jacks. And obviously some people like to jack it up from like the rear end. Don't do that, because if you're holding onto the rear end won't actually move. So jack that up, make sure the wheels are free. So first thing actually is you're gonna need to put your car on a level surface, not on a driveway. At least my driveway is not level. I did mine on the street the other day. Not only on a level surface, but when you're jacking it up and putting it on the jack stands, make sure they're both level. So I'm not really doing mine right now, but that's why it's not leveled, but you're gonna want it leveled. If not, what I'm about to show you is not really gonna work, or at least be accurate. So my passenger side's a little bit lower right now. All right, and you're gonna want to do something like this. You're gonna want to, I recommend doing it with a piece of yarn, just because it's the perfect size all the way around. It's not different dimensions like this. If you're gonna do this method, you absolutely can. You just need to make sure both pieces of tapes that you're gonna use on both sides are the same width right here. So you would tape it up here, put some weights at the bottom. I taped up some rocks, and then you're gonna measure essentially from the center of this tire cap to here, or just any point, but just be consistent. Don't measure right here on this side and then on the other side measure the tire. You're gonna want to get under there, you're gonna twist the bar, and it's gonna want to move either left to the right, and then you're gonna take measurements until they're the exact same length. That way you're square all the way around. If I did it on this side right now, since this side's a little bit higher, it would have hit the wheel, so it wouldn't have been accurate if I did it on this side, due to this side being a lot higher. So yeah, do something like that. Take your measurements, that way you're square all the way around. And see, I just threw it over here on this side just to show you folks, but you can tell it's already touching at the bottom, so this wouldn't be an accurate representation of what you should be doing, just because the driver's side is lifted higher. Obviously, yarn will work a lot better, so you put the yarn string right here, just tape it up here, and then tie pieces of rocks or weights that you may have at the very bottom to make it straight. Obviously, if it's less windy, the better. All right, after you got all your measurements down and you have it the same on both sides, all you need is an adjustable wrench to tighten these inwards on both sides, and you're gonna be all set to go. It's literally that easy. I'm assuming that's why there's no videos on it, but pretty straightforward, and you're gonna be good to go. You're not gonna be bottoming out or hitting things. All right, let's go over everything you're gonna need to do in order to make those adjustments really quick. It's gonna be, make sure you're on your level surface, use jack stands in a jack obviously, and make sure the rear end is just hanging free. If they're ready to tighten up, you loosen up those two bolts that are very close to the red portion of it, or whatever color your PanHard bar is. You loosen those up. You can literally twist it by hand. It's extremely easy to twist. Get tape. I recommend doing yarn on the side with weights at the bottom and taping it on top of the quarter panels. Adjust it, get your measurements, tighten up the bolts. Pretty much all done. All said and done, just doing all that, maybe 30 minutes, a little bit longer if it's your first time doing it or whatnot. And it's that simple. Cool. Now let's get into everything that led up to me having to adjust it. So as you guys know, when I first installed it, I did not make the adjustments. I did it right before work and I was running late. So yeah, I just placed it in there and I took off. And everything was working fine. Everything's well up until Cinco de Mayo. So what I do Cinco de Mayo, I went out cruising just like every other Mexican in San Jose. And during that cruise van, we ended up parking in this parking lot. I'll probably show a map or something right now. We ended up parking in this parking lot, and it's like it's right on Santa Clara, right near 21st Street. And yeah, we always just park right there and just watch the cars go on by and whatnot. So we were there, and towards the end, cops came, were kicking everybody out, and I was with Brian, and Brian was like, yeah, let's take the back road. And I knew, I was like, there's no fucking back road, but in my head I was just, whatever, the cops right there, him leaving, I was like, cool, like, let's take the back road. Like, I've never seen a back road there, I've never seen the cars come out of there, it's just like it's a dead end. But he was like, yeah, let's take the back roads out. I was like, cool, whatever, let's do that. So as soon as we leave the parking lot, he leaves first, I leave literally right after him. I had the radio off, and good thing I had the radio off, because usually I listen to the radio really loud. All you hear is like this metal thing just like scraping, and like making kind of like a popping sound. I was like, what the fuck is that? Pull all the way down to the end of the court, turn around, get out the car. I'm like, there's something wrong. Next thing you know, I just see a bunch of these, or not a bunch of these, there's one of these actually stuck on my tire, but a bunch of these smaller ones right here, all over just the passenger front side tire. That's all it was, just a bunch of these. I actually have the one that broke off, and this one was actually the one that caused my tire to go flat. All these little ones, they didn't do shit. I plucked them right off. So yeah, ended up going, and I was with Kat and Brian. They ended up picking up all of them off the street, that way no one else ran them over, and that way we didn't run them over when we were leaving. Got the flat, he went home to get like a patch kit. Did not end up working, whatever. So brought the car home, ended up putting on the spare tire. Was it when I got, I forgot when I ended up putting on the spare tire. I ended up putting on the spare tire, or like the next day or so. I went to go get the tire patched up, and they were able to do like an inside patch. It's been well over a week. Yeah, well over like a week and a half, 2 weeks already. tire's great, like nothing's happening to that tire, which I was happy. So it was like 45 bucks. Took it to Caltrop right there on King and Story, and that was pretty much it. So I got home, I ended up putting on my spare tire, or not putting on my spare tire, I put it back into place, which is underneath the rear. A day later, I ended up bottoming out over every little bump I went over, specifically on the on the driver rear side, kind of on the passenger side, and I didn't know why. I was like, something, after the second day of it doing it, and let me tell you, it was bottoming out hard. I was like, oh, something's broken. Like, I for sure broke something. I just need to jack it up and figure out why. The day or 2 days after that, ended up jacking up the rear end and trying to figure out what was hitting or what was broken. I didn't see anything broken. I thought like one of the lower control arms or trailing arms or whatever was broken, snapped in half. Something was causing it to hit really hard. Nothing was broken, but I did find the spot that was making contact with each other. So let me show you that really quick. So here we are under the car. There's the front of the car. This is the driver's side. It was making contact right there. So here's the bump stop. It was hitting right there on this point over here. So it was doing it pretty hard, and same thing on that side, but just not as intense as this right here. So the whole rear end ended up shifting to the driver's side as much as it could. So not only was bottoming out right there, every time I'd make a turn or hit the slightest of bump, the tire would be rubbing up against the inner wheel well right here. So that's how I knew the whole rear end had shifted, and I couldn't figure out why up until the point where I actually tried to fix it. And it was because when I put back the tire, I don't know why it didn't adjust correctly when it went all the way up, but it was rubbing up against the PanHard bar. So you can see exactly where it was rubbing up. So the tire not only was installed more towards the front of the car, but towards the passenger side too, and it just kept rubbing up. That's why you see the paint's missing right there. And so every time I would hit a bump, the whole PanHard bar would twist and twist until it pushed it all the way over. And it went all the way over because these bolts weren't holding this in place. Granted, this shouldn't have been touching the PanHard bar, but it was. And yeah, those are the series of events that led up to me having to adjust my PanHard bar. My only question is, how did these things get on the road? Who threw them on there or whatnot? I don't know how many people ran over these. No, they ran over these. How many people got flat tires because of them? We try to clean up as much as we're able to find. I know we didn't get all of them, but Kat and Brian did a decent job at picking them all up throughout that road. But yeah, watch out where you guys drive next time. Obviously it was late at night, so I didn't know these were gonna be on the fucking road. I haven't seen these in fucking ages, and no one uses these but fucking movies too. But yeah, let's hopefully that doesn't happen again on the next cruise event or anything like that. Y'all be safe. Until next time.